A lot of football today as we kind of hold our bated breath, keep our fingers crossed that Mike White can actually play a football game 6 days from today. 4 games to go. And we're in the world of the New York Jets. Meanwhile, the New York Giants, who are now 1-4-1 in their last 6 games, still hanging on to a playoff spot. But let's be honest about it. Where's the next Giant win coming from? Lots to do. A little baseball in the middle. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
Yeah, I've seen better days.
Yeah, of course. You're a tough day of football, but can't say it wasn't predicted. Tough spot in Orchard Park. Defense held. They, of course, have the one bad defensive drive right after the Jets tie the game. The New York Giants, of course, get blown out of their building. It's the worst loss the Giants have had at home against the Eagles in the history of that matchup.
Yeah.
Shows you how bad it was for the Giants yesterday.
It felt that way.
Yeah.
To the point where the coach after the game forgot how many points they scored. He basically said, yeah, we lost 48 to whatever we got.
Yeah,
and that's
whatever we got was about right.
They got their ass kicked by a team that's a lot better, by a team that may well be the most talented team in the NFC. The Jet game was frustrating because they could have won. And I could argue they should have won. But they made just enough mistakes to F themselves.
Yep.
And to me, it all starts when it's 4th and 1 and the Bills are at their own 39-yard line and it's a 0-0 game and there's not a lot of time left in the first half. We're likely looking at a 0-0 game going into intermission with the Jets getting the football to start the third quarter. And C.J. Mosley, I don't know what he's thinking. I can't explain it. Jumps not only off sides for a neutral zone infraction, but it's like he thought he heard something happen. He's Superman over. He's Mr. Superman, and that was a killer. And what made it worse is, all right, if it leads to a field goal, it sucks and it's bad.
Second. I don't know if the Bills talked about this after the game. They probably weren't even asked about it. It's the biggest play, obviously, of that first half. I think they're just trying to get the Jets to jump. They're going to punt 0-0.
Yes.
They're not kicking a field goal on that drive.
No.
First.
Once they convert.
Oh, okay. Different story. Okay.
Because they're at their own 39-yard
line.
line.
On the same page. No, they're going to punt.
They are clearly going to punt at this point.
Right.
It's too risky of a decision to go for it on a 4th and 1 from your own 39 in a 0-0 game because I think your thought is we punt it back. The Jets aren't scoring. We've stopped them in the first half.
The Detroit Lions were on their own 20 with a 4th down. Faked the punt, got a 1st down. But I'm with you. Go ahead.
And instead, the Jets showed a lack of discipline. And that one mistake by C.J. Mosley allowed the Bills to march down the field. And again, they didn't need to let Dawson Knox prance in for a touchdown. It could have easily been a field goal, 3-0 game, which is bad, but not the disaster scenario. Even though the Jets came back and tied it, which was great coming out of the gate in the second half, that play and that kind of mistake specifically, that's the crap that can't happen. Because when you look back at the loss to Minnesota and the loss to Buffalo, Robert Saleh's right when he says, hey, we went toe-to-toe with them. He's right. But here's what they did. They made enough mistakes to lose. And that's one of them. And there's a few others led by Michael Carter's fumble.
Sure.
You cannot make mistakes like that. And I hope they learn from it because that's the difference between being a playoff team and missing the postseason.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that you learn from it because every team knows, every player knows turnovers are killers, right? It's just a matter of, either getting upgrades at certain positions or getting better play out of people. Like, Michael Carter's not going to fumble the ball on purpose, and he's not known as a fumbler. Joe Flacco shouldn't even be in the game, obviously. Injury led to that. And as we've said, the entire year.
Killer.
I mean, he's a cigar store Indian back there. Gets hit, fumbles, major change in the game. To be fair, though, even if you take those out, there's the possession where we had the ball at about our own 40 and went 3 and out. There's the possession you're talking about where C.J. Mosley jumps off sides. And it looks like to me, as a diehard Jet fan, and I want to try to be positive about this. I was saying this morning, there's kind of like a story arc to long-term success. You suck. You get better players. You get good. You learn how to win. You win for 5 or 6 years. Whether or not you get a championship, who knows?
Right.
And it feels like the Jets have gotten to the part of that arc where they're now on the back side of it. They're close. They don't embarrass themselves.
Right.
They're in every game. No team is that much better than them where we can't envision a way we're going to win.
Right.
but we're not good enough to overcome
that's
the small
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, Craig, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, the reason they lost this football game comes down to 3 mistakes that can't happen. And maybe that's too simple. Maybe there are more things than that you could list for why they lost. But an offsides call on a 4th and 1 when Buffalo's from their own 39 is a mistake you can't overcome. The backup quarterback coming into the game and turning the ball over immediately.
I agree.
That's a mistake you can't overcome. Michael Carter putting the ball on the ground as the Jets are marching down the field after they make a huge special teams play.
Yep.
That's a mistake you can't overcome. And those 3 things specifically, and the fact that as good as this defense is, I love this defense, you have to force turnovers. And where have they been?
They
Think
haven't
about
been
it.
any.
They haven't
Right.
been any.
We don't force turnovers. And we have that one drive in the last 2 games specifically where the offense got momentum back. We tie a game, we get close to a game, take a lead kind of thing. And the very next drive, bing, 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 defense is nowhere to be found.
No doubt. There are things about yesterday's game that caused me to not be able to sleep at night. And it's been a long time since I could say that as a Jet fan. Michael Carter putting the ball on the ground as the Jets are marching down the field, led by Zonovan Knight, who had a couple of carries, gashing the Bills' defense. That's one of those plays. That's one of those plays you think about and say, if he doesn't put the ball on the ground, everything's different.
Sure.
Joe Flacco strip sack. Everything's different.
Yeah.
C.J. Mosley jumping offside. Everything's different. And you're right, Craig. The Jets are talented. They have made major inroads.
They're very close.
But they're not as good as Buffalo. And when you're on the road against a team you're not as good as, you cannot make those mistakes. So now the New York Jets, it's simple. They got to go out and run the freaking table.
Yeah, and if you look at the schedule, the 4 games they have left, I just want to be honest and fair about it. They could win all 4. They could lose all 4. I think every single one of those games is a toss-up. Where they're looking at Detroit now back alive for an outside shot at a playoff berth. Seattle, trying to find entry to the playoffs again. They were in for 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Giants lose.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are in, and then of course they couldn't beat Carolina. So you could look at the 4 games that the Jets have, and I could make an argument for and against them winning all 4 games.
If they're as good as we think they are, they're winning at minimum 3 or 4.
Okay, 3 gets you in.
And you know what? For all the moral victories we may have had, you want to say yesterday was a moral victory or the Vikings were a moral victory. I'm done. Now they got to win freaking football games. Yeah. Now they got to go win 3 out of 4 games against teams that are good, that are quality. But if we're talking up the talent of this Jet team, they should beat all of them.
Yeah, but they're not gonna, right? Like, we can't come out and say they're going to go 4-0.
I didn't say they're going to go 4-0. I say they should go 4-0.
It's, I tell you what, it's weird. Like, the Jets have given, I know you're going to yell at me for this.
What?
Here we are. It's December 12th today, right?
Yeah.
12/12/22.
Yeah.
We have meaningful football game next weekend.
That's not enough.
It's not enough. I know it's not enough. But I want to say one other point about the Jets, because I'm reading this online, all you dopey Twitter accounts, and it fascinates me, right? We got to a place where it was a universal thought. There was no wiggle room at all. It was 100-0 that Zach Wilson, for the moment, cannot play quarterback in the NFL. Is that fair to say? A couple weeks ago? Did we pretty much get there?
Cannot play quarterback in the NFL? No. I never phrased it that way. I phrased it this way.
He's not the Jets starting quarterback.
Mike White is the best option.
We got to the place this year.
Did I say that?
That in the moment, Zach Wilson can't play for the Jets this year. All right? Universally.
All right. You know what? You could accept that. I never said that, but go with your dopey
fine.
point then.
It's not a dopey point. It fascinates me.
Okay, go ahead.
When I read people on Twitter yelling and screaming yesterday that Zach Wilson should be dressed because Mike White goes down and nobody wants to see Joe Flacco, I'm fascinated by some of the people yelling and screaming. Now, we made the point last week that maybe Zach should dress just so you don't have to go to Joe Flacco, or at least the coach has a choice of who to go to. Not because he's going to come in and light the other team on fire and lead the Jets to victory, but he might still be better than Joe Flacco.
Right.
Who the hell knows, right?
Right.
But this yelling and screaming about how the Jets did us dirty by not dressing Zach Wilson from the same people that never want to see Zach Wilson in a Jet uniform again is like, my brain exploded. Like, we don't want to see Zach Wilson, do we?
I want to see Mike White.
Right. That's the only guy we want to see.
All yesterday reinforced is that Mike White's the guy. Mike White showed so much guts. He showed so much balls. He showed so much toughness that I think most of us look at Mike White with even more of a glow than we did a few days ago.
He's like a man's man now.
We look at him and say, that's our guy. So, look, we could debate who the backup quarterback should be, whether it should be Joe Flacco or Zach Wilson.
Well, I think it's clear now who it should be.
Well, and the reason people
Right?
reacted to that was because of what Joe did when he was on the field.
Yes.
So that's
right.
why you're, I guess, pissed off that people are
No, I'm not
flip-flopping.
pissed off.
They're
It's just funny to me. Like, people yelling and screaming, I hate Zach Wilson. He can't play. Get him out. And no one disagrees with that. And then, obviously, Flacco comes in, plays like crap, has the fumble, and people are yelling and screaming, where's Zach Wilson?
Well, because
you can't have it both ways.
Of course you can. This is a reaction business.
No, you can't.
This is a reaction business. Now, I'm not criticizing the Jets for Joe Flacco being the backup. I want to make that clear. I understood why he was over the last few weeks. But, and I don't know if this is the point you're trying to make, moving forward, after what we saw yesterday, because this is a reaction business, I don't think it's crazy for me to say Zach should be the backup.
No, 100%. My point was how people that hate Zach Wilson for all the obvious reasons, rightfully so, are then being critical that they didn't go to Zach Wilson. Now,
Right.
at this point, I think it's obvious, and I'd be shocked if the Jets don't do this. Zach Wilson's got to dress.
Yeah, and
he's not a threat. He's not getting first-team reps.
No.
He's got to dress,
Look,
though.
It's becoming more obvious by the week. Mike White's the guy for now. And even though yesterday against Buffalo, no one's going to send that to Canton. No one's telling you Mike White was brilliant. But we saw enough from Mike White yesterday with some of the throws he made as he was getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
That, you look into Mike White's eyes and say, that's our guy moving forward. Now, I'm not ready to declare what the next 3 years should look like because I'm not thinking about the next 3 years. I'm thinking about the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And for the next 4 weeks, Craig, it's become obvious that as long as this human being can take the football under center, Mike White gives the Jets the best chance to win.
Yeah,
Not even close.
I'm convinced that he's got internal bleeding and broken ribs. I mean, that second sack he took where his body folded in half and he's writhing on the ground. He probably had the air knocked out of him also. The fact that he came back from that one and still completed passes down the field, you're right. That dude's a man. He's a man's man.
He came
and
back,
I love it.
When he came back into the game, I'll admit this, a tear rolled down my eye.
Oh, stop it.
A tear rolled down my eye. Because I was like, are you kidding me? This is my guy.
Yeah.
You thought he was dead after that second
I thought
hit.
he was dead.
We all did. We all assumed
Matter
we
of
weren't
fact,
going to
if you
see him
told me-
again.
If you told me today he died, I'd believe it.
Well, I don't want to go down that road. But I never thought we would see him again. And when he marched out on that field, I looked into his eyes, I looked at his beautiful head, and I, with a tear in my eye, said, that's my guy. That's our guy. So I hope he's all right. I hope he's physically ready to go. Because I don't know what the results are going to say to us on Sunday and next Thursday.
I don't think he's playing.
But here's what I do know. Mike White gives the Jets the best chance to win, and it ain't close.
Well, I'll tell
it
you
ain't
what,
close.
I think we all agree with that, but I don't think he's playing.
Based on what?
Based on that hit.
He
I
came
don't
back
think
into
he's
the game.
I know that's adrenaline and maybe a shot or something. I don't think he's playing. I think you're going to find out that he has a tough time breathing today. I think you're going to find out he's got broken ribs today, and I don't think he's playing.
Well, he met the media and he looked all right, and he seemed confident. He seemed
all
hopeful.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They went to the hospital for precautionary
Yeah,
reasons.
because that's normal.
He checked out all right.
Yeah.
He said he was playing with his kids this morning, which is always a great sign.
That's good because you got little kids too.
Yeah.
Like that means he's on his hands and knees with the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Mike White was playing with his kids means he'll be out there playing against the Lions on Sunday.
I did not see that, so I like that. You're right. If you're on your hands and knees crawling around with like 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and whatnot, which is how old I think his kids are, like 2 and 4, something like that, then yeah, I'd say you have a good chance to play.
How do you not love this guy?
Yeah.
No, seriously. How the hell do you not love this human being?
It'd be nice if we could win a game.
No, I get it.
I mean, at the end of the day, like we win.
No, they scored they scored basically 10 points. Take
Yeah.
away the safety.
So
I get
as much
that.
as we all like Mike White, can we win a game?
Yeah, but you have to look
I'm
at
just
what you
asking
were
for a
watching.
friend.
You have to look at what you were watching.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you this question again.
1 for 6 in the red zone last week and 9-10 points this week. What
Do
we
you
doing?
think Do you think Mike White was the reason the Jets lost this game?
Was either he's part of the reason.
I'll go back to it.
He's part of the reason. He
You
missed
don't
open
think-
guys yesterday.
You don't think he did more good than bad in this game?
If that's a different question.
Okay.
More good than bad, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Look, he
and he's
wasn't-
a warrior.
he wasn't perfect. I'm not suggesting he was. But some of the throws he made with
great.
contact in his face
I'm with you.
was incredible.
Evan, I'm with you. I'm on the same page. But that being said, we got to win games.
No, I
Like
get
our
it.
offense isn't scoring 30 points with Mike White.
I get that.
Right.
Well, against this defense yesterday,
Okay.
the Buffalo Bills weren't scoring 30 points either.
Fair
and
enough.
they're considered pretty good, right?
They're
Josh
very good.
Allen's considered pretty good?
Yes, he
Josh
is.
Allen threw for 147 yards.
Well, we weren't playing against our defense,
No,
though.
I
we
get
made
that.
it look like we were, but we weren't.
I understand that. I'm just
Yes.
pointing it out that
Like,
it's
can our
not-
right tackle block somebody, or is that not allowed?
No. No. Dude, yesterday between the Giant game where they allowed 7 sacks and between the Jet game, we saw some bad pass protection. Let
and
me
the
tell
worst
you.
thing about George Font is he comes in with Flacco and then gives up the sack in the strip fumble.
Nah, I know,
what are we
dude.
doing? All right, listen, we got lots to do. The Giants are in big trouble right now, although they are still in the playoff spot. The Jets are not right now in a playoff spot. So we'll go over both teams for you, of course, all day. 877-337-6666.